Good day, fellas. Okay, so a little bit of an update on the Yamaha VMAX, the 2003 Yamaha VMAX. We've been waiting on parts and gaskets for the bike for a little while now, about 2.5 weeks, and they just came in today. So here, what I have is I have a bunch of I got a bunch of parts. And they are all the boots for the top, so I can go ahead, I can get the intake plenum or whatever, I can get that set in, put the carburetors on, the air breather, the coil stuff here I think is pretty much sorted out. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a test fire once we get all this stuff back in order. We're going to give it a test fire, and then we're going to take it from there. So next step is to start piecing some of this stuff together. Okay, and my main focus is going to be the intake plenum. So with that being said, let's get to work and see if we can get this intake plenum done. So I've went and prepped these just to make sure that everything sits nice and flush and everything is looking good on both sides. Okay, I went ahead and I've removed the little blockers to make sure I don't get any debris in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to use a little bit of 3-bond or Yama bond or Honda bond or whatever kind of bond that you want to use, and I'm going to stick the gaskets on, and we're going to button these down. All right, so now that we've went ahead and secured these down, I even hooked up the vacuum. I'm going to go ahead and start working on the boots. Okay, so I got the four new boots. There's the part number, and again, these boots, they're expensive. So for all 4 of these Union boots and the top intake boots was $200 from Yamaha, but I think it's going to be well worth it. Just to let you guys know, when I put these in, I did loosen off this guy, the one that faces towards me, just to make sure that I could get the bolts in, because I was struggling with getting some of these bolts in. So once I did that, it just went down really easy, tightened them up, and now we're ready to move on to the next step. So, and the next step is going to be the intake boots for the air filter. So let's get to it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to put these in. I'm going to remove the blockers or the cloth that I have in there to stop debris from getting in. I'm going to remove all of that. I'm going to put the bottom ones in, and then I'm going to get ready to fit the air filter in. So there you have it. These are now installed. What I'm doing is I'm gonna let this sit. I want the Theobond or Yamabond or whatever to set. So I'm gonna leave that set overnight. Okay, I did use a little bit of jigaloo just so that these pieces of rubber could slip on a little bit better and a little bit easier. So now at this point, the next step is going to be the, I don't like the way that one's sitting. The next step is going to be putting the carburetors on. However, before we get into the carburetors, again, I'm going to leave that let this sit. The reason why I want to let it sit is because at this point, everything is undoable from here. Once you set the carburetors on, it's still undoable, obviously, but I don't want to touch this bottom piece again. So it has all new seals everywhere, all the way around. There is a top and a bottom to each one of these seals. That the flat part of this seal goes up to the carburetor. Okay, so and you can see it. And I pointed them out. The little notches or grooves that are in there, and you want to line these up, and you want to make sure that the grooves sit right on top, or the rubber goes right into those grooves. That's what they're there for. So we've got that. But I think that's going to be a wrap for today's video. I'm going to be back at it tomorrow, and hopefully I can set the carburetors on, and we're one step closer to getting this thing fired up. So stay tuned. Another video going to be dropping on. We're going to be putting the carburetors on and the air box, and we're going to go. Now, one of the things that I said that I was going to do, but I didn't do, was I did not check the valve clearances. I know that it's not due for its service interval yet. I know that it was checked. Well, I suspect that it was checked. The previous owner said that they were checked. And I believe that he said that they were done at 7,000 kilometers. Now, mind you, it has been sitting. It did not run, blah, 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 blah. So, but we're going to go ahead. I really want to hear this thing fire. If we're having problems with it, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to undo these. But for right now, we need to hear this thing run. Now with the coils, the wires, the cap, the fluid has been drained. This coolant tank has been cleaned. We're going to bring it up to operating temperature, get all the sludge that has settled down to the bottom. That's why I'm not just pulling the coolant, because that sludge is just going to sit down at the bottom and it's not going to move. Then you could fill it up with new coolant and you wouldn't be any further ahead. You'd still have to run it. So I want to run it, get it up to like operating temperature, and at that point, after it cools down a bit, it'll hopefully get rid of all the sediment that's sitting at the bottom and stir that up so I can flush it. And I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times until it comes out clean. I suspect that there's going to be some dirt. If there isn't, well, then we'll proceed a different way. But for now, that's going to be a wrap for today. Hit the like button, subscribe, And we're going to continue working on this 2003 Yamaha VMAX.